are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Your summer Spurs are 0-3 at the Las Vegas Summer League, but what have we taken away from the last 3 games out in Vegas? Welcome back to Locked On Spurs and the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs beat writer for KENS 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts. Free, everybody. It's free. No paywall, nothing. Go download it right now. You can also find it on the KENS5.com, the KENS 5 YouTube page, as well as on KENS 5 Plus. Yes. Locked On Spurs is worthy now to be on KENS 5 Plus now. So you'll be able to get all shows right here from Los each and every day. What are we talking about today? We're looking at the Spurs summer team, 0-3 out in Vegas, but, and I get it, winless, but that's not the point of the summer league. We're looking at development, how these kids are looking, what do they need to improve on, who's standing out, who's been disappointing, and much, much more. We're also going to get into the fact that the Spurs are going to go back in time, back to the future, sort of, with the new jerseys that are definitely going to ring bells and rejoice everywhere from OG Spurs fans like myself and our guest. And who is that guest? He is James Pledger with San Antonio Sports Star, co-host of the Saturday Morning Hangover. Follow him on Twitter at IamPledger. I mean, James, the sky's falling, right? 0-3 in the summer league. Oh no, watch out! Blow this team up.
I mean, it was blown up.
Blow it up more then.
I mean, they're 0-3, but I also think like this is just kind of a preview of what's to come with this team.
Oh, no.
You're dealing with a lot of youth. They've got 4 19-year-olds on this roster when you account Primo now, who is going to miss the rest of the summer league. And man, it looks like he could use a few more of these summer league reps.
Absolutely. With the summer Spurs team out in Vegas, 0-3, they got one more game left. It's against Atlanta later this week, but their record pretty much knocks them out of continued play out in Las Vegas. Who knows? You probably likely see, some players get minimal reps or a lot of reps. I think in the Spurs case, I think they should throw them out there and play every single second. Barlow, Wesley, Branham, and the list goes on and on. But let's go and dive into this because, again, that's what the Summer League is about. It's about player development, player evaluation, records be damned. It's just about how these kids are going to fit in the team or maybe elsewhere. Let's start off with the obvious, and that is Blake Wesley. The last pick in the first round for the Spurs, 25 overall. And he is just a scoring machine. He talked about how bad his shot was after he was selected. He spoke with me about that, but could have fooled me, showing the outside game. He's definitely showing the inside game. So far, living up to being a first-round pick. But, James, before we hit record, you were like, you know what? You like Wesley, but there's one thing he needs to work on. And what's that?
There's a couple of things he needs to work on. I believe Wesley, if I'm not mistaken, was a -11 after last night's Rockets game and has been a consistent minus throughout the summer league. So, I mean, he needs to get better defending, switching, coming off of screens, getting over the top of screens to fight through them, if you will, to stop giving up those easy baskets. And I think that's one of the issues. The other is he needs to get stronger because while he shot the ball well, especially from distance, he struggled around the rim. And he needs to be able to finish when he gets into the paint. And he had trouble finishing. And I think part of that is just because he has a tough time playing through contact, and that comes with strength.
I was pleasantly surprised from just overall, X's and O's, plus minus be damned. Just the fact that he is aggressive, just that he is willing to take the shot. He's not afraid to get into the trees, get into that paint. And you're absolutely right. He needs to add size. I think that will come. Once he puts some size on, he should be able to finish at the rim.
It's not his size. I think it's just strength. I mean, Kevin Durant hasn't added any size, but he's gotten physically stronger despite it.
Yeah, that's what I meant. He's adding like muscle, just sturdier, when he's attacking that rim. But we also talked about this again before the show started, is that he practically plays at one speed, and
he's all go all the time, baby.
All go all the time. If the Spurs are going to do run and gun, hint towards the second topic, old ABA style, well then, hey, he fits the bill. But there's going to be times in his pro career where he's going to have to slow down, and that's one thing I like to see. You love to see him do in this last game against Atlanta preseason training camp. It just learn to slow the game down. You don't have to go push it all the time, and it's great in the summer league. It's fine, but hey, we know what we got to work on, Blake. And one of the
things we saw with this was Spurs built up huge leads, and a lot of these,
they blew them all,
including this last one against the Rockets. Yeah. They blew them all, and part of that is because if you can't change the pace and you only know one speed, like shots are going to fall and shots are not going to fall. Like the NBA is a game of runs, as we've said ad nauseum talking about basketball. But the ability to switch speeds and kind of slow when the shots aren't falling and kind of slow the pace down to where the bloodletting isn't as fast when those shots aren't falling helps to quell those dead periods in games, and being able to switch the speed like that. And that's when it's important, especially late in a game when you're trying to close it out and you've got a lead. That's a very important task, and we saw them fail to do so against the Golden State Warriors as they let a big lead slip away into the fourth quarter when they finally gave it up late.
Yeah, and look, not a bad debut for Wesley. I think there's something there with him. I think he's going to.
It's easy to say he's been the best rookie in summer league for the Spurs.
And the starting point guard position is an open question right now. I know Primo's likely the front runner right now, but Wesley, if he shows this more often than not in preseason and training camp, and I think it's still an open question. Yeah, I think it's because. As Coach Johnson said, that Wesley is the modern day guard, and the Spurs needed that in their rebuild. And I think he is just another wrinkle, a new dimension that the Spurs haven't had in this, I guess, rebuild forward, but it was a rebuild light before this season.
Let me ask you a question, Jeff.
Go ahead.
Knowing how hard Pop is on point guards, knowing the fact that Primo was in the summer league, and knowing the fact that Primo didn't look great in the summer league either, there was a noticeable absence from this year's summer league roster, and he might be the Spurs' best point guard on the roster.
How about Trey Jones?
Talking about Trey Jones. He was consistent last year. He was steady. He was a calming force on the offense with that second unit. If Pop's legitimately trying to win games, Trey Jones might give them their best opportunity to win games in terms of taking care of the ball, getting into the offense, But if this season's about development and learning and, bringing those young guys along, kicking and screaming, then Primo needs to start. But just throwing it out there, because I do believe the best point guard on this roster is Trey Jones. And if Pop, we saw with, Tony Parker, Speedy Claxton took a lot of his minutes early.
Oh, yes, he did. Yes.
So if there's a short hook because of Primo's turnovers or inabilities on the floor, we could see more and more of Trey Jones, who is a more calming and steadying force, I believe, with this offensive unit.
And he is a veteran, quote unquote. Going into his third year? He is like one of the more seasoned Spurs, but I think it's going to be an
Sure,
interesting
he's got
battle.
one more year under his belt than Primo.
Right. I think it's going to be an interesting battle for the point guard spot. Again, many think Primo's ahead. You mentioned Trey Jones. I think he gets forgotten in the shuffle. But Wesley is definitely going to open eyes. If he continues to play this way, I think he's going to make the Spurs coaching staff look, okay, let's get him some burn in San Antonio. He's likely going to go to Austin. I mean, Brian Wright did speak about that in yesterday's broadcast, that he says these guys, and he mentioning the young kids, and that includes Wesley, they're gonna get their shot in San Antonio and in Austin. So that's a signal that they're not gonna probably be spending most of their time in the G League. They'll likely be in San Antonio. So Wesley's definitely gonna push Jones and Primo for that spot, or even to back him up. Even if Jones gets the edge, then who's gonna back him up? Primo. Is going to be Wesley. So interesting. But yeah, overall, Wesley doing pretty good out in Las Vegas. Again, he is a gunner, though. I mean, he shot like 20-something% against Houston, 5 for 20 years.
He didn't see a shot he didn't like.
Yeah. He is a gunner. So they're going to work on that moving forward. Another pleasant surprise has been Darius Days, the LSU forward. That was the other name I was going to mention of surprises for the Spurs. It would have been it's Wesley, it's Days, and it's Barlow, who earned himself a two-way deal. So congratulations, Dominic Barlow. We're going to talk about Darius Days when we get back, but I want to talk to you about Built Bar right now. From the people who invented health and tasty comes the latest gift to your taste buds. You probably tried the amazing coconut brownie chunk Built Bar. Guess what? It's now given the puff treatment. That's right. The coconut brownie chunk Built Bar flavor that you love, in a deliciously chewy marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. It's in a puff form now. Go get it. It's a fluffy cloud of coconut brownie goodness. Hey, stop drooling and listen. They're good for you. Low calorie, low sugar, high protein, all delicious. That coconut brownie chunk puff it's only here for a limited time. So go to Built.com right now to make sure you don't miss out. They're going to go fast because they taste amazing. Those Built Bars are made with collagen protein, gets into your body more efficiently, provides tons of health benefits. Eat something that tastes good and is good for you. And the best part about Built Puffs is they taste amazing. You can enjoy them guilt-free, and they're actually good for you. The perfect treat when you got a craving or to satisfy your sweet tooth, or you need a quick, healthy snack. Excellent source of protein. Delicious coconut, rich, sweet brownie, creamy marshmallow. Stop fantasizing. Get to Built.com. Order your box of chocolate brownie chunk Built Puffs right now. Go to Built.com. Promo code is LOCK15. That'll get you 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15. We're back with James Pledger with San Antonio Sports Star and the co-host of the Saturday Morning Hangover. We're talking about the summer Spurs after 3 games. Right before the break, we're talking about Darius Days. Let's dive into him. He is a big that actually is showing that he can knock down the outside shot and hit the three. I think when he hit 3-point shots in that last game against Houston. A double-double guy. He spoke after game 2 saying that he just comes to work, whether that's going to be in San Antonio or elsewhere. He's really kind of catching my eye, James, out in Las Vegas. I like what I'm seeing out of Days.
They have one two-way spot left on the team.
It's got to be his.
13 points, 11 boards against the Rockets. I definitely have seen consistency from Days, it feels like, almost more so than anyone outside of Blake Wesley. So Days is one of those guys that at least has earned a shot, I would think, with this team, at least on a two-way deal. And the Spurs do have one left. I wouldn't be shocked to see him get it unless there's somebody else in Summer League they've got their eye on.
Yeah, I think it's his to lose at this point, because even if you stash him in Austin, if that's what a two-way deal could allow you to do, I mean, great. Yep. Let him flourish out there. Let him dominate. Let him get that confidence up. And if it is a rebuild, which it is, then plug him into San Antonio. The Spurs need a big that can knock down the outside shot. We know Jakob is not that. Collins remains to be seen. Jock is no longer in San Antonio. He could fit the bill. Young And I mean, you for his size, James, he is athletic, isn't he?
Yeah, he moves extremely well, and I noticed that he showed a lot of intensity defensively, which is, something that will get you in the good graces of Greg Popovich every time. So his ability, his want to on defense, the rest can be taught, was good to see. And offensively, he gives you at least a little something in terms of spacing the floor. He got a lot of open looks and capitalized when he got those open looks, which is what you want from your stretch big. You want him to be able to space the floor and knock down an open shot.
Speaking of bigs, another big that is now officially a San Antonio Spur because he got a two-way deal is Dominic Barlow. Long wingspan. That's what catches my eye every time I see him on the court in these last 3 games. Just like his wingspan is incredible. The bouncy big that perhaps the Spurs could use. As mentioned, he did get a two-way deal, so he'll likely be in Austin. From overtime elite, and he's still a teenager. I think he's still 19 years old, but nevertheless, there's something there. I like that he's a rim runner and he can run up and down that court, James.
Yeah, he's a rim runner. He can run up and down, and he's got a little bit of a touch from outside, more so than Chimezie Metu ever did. And I think that Chimezie Metu is kind of a comparison that Jack and I were talking about with Barlow when we were discussing him. Only the fact that his shot, like they don't, unlike Chimezie, where you had to bring that shot along because he didn't have it. He does have a little bit of a shot from outside already. So it's less of a project in projecting his ability to space. So he could be a solid find, especially coming out of that overtime elite. So he played against some good competition this past year. And
he took on James Wiseman.
I wouldn't be mad
in
to see him late in the season get the call up.
And I thought he did a pretty good job, all things considered, he gave Wiseman at least a fight in the paint. Wiseman, obviously, he showed out, but he made Wiseman work. And Barlow spoke about that after that Golden State Summer League game, saying that, hey, it was good to play against Wiseman, but I like the confidence. He said that he thought that he did a good job slowing him down. So you're starting a pattern here. They pick up Barlow, a big two-way contract. All signs are pointing to, and hopefully by the time you listen to this episode, the Spurs announced that they signed Darius Days, that it's his to get. So the bigs are really showing out in Las Vegas. And since Spurs fans are concerned about they didn't draft a big in the draft, well, guess what? There's a couple there waiting for them out in Las Vegas. Let's talk about Malaki Branham. A very slow start to the Summer League. It just was off. Shot wasn't falling. In 2 games, they sat him. He looked timid, like he was second guessing himself. Shots weren't falling. I think it affected his mindset. But to his credit, against Houston, did come back, scored in double figures, showed that 3-level scoring that Brian Wright talked about when the Spurs picked Branham, hitting the 3, hitting the mid, and getting at the rim. Much to do about nothing about his start, or is this something we should keep an eye on?
No, I mean, you always take away when you get positives, and he ended this last game with a positive, 20 points against the Rockets. Malaki finally showed out after a slow start. And, we saw what we were hoping to see from him when this thing started. I mean, he was 8 of 18, 3 of 7 from 3. So his shot finally started falling, and that's a good thing. That's what we wanted to see from him, is just him be more aggressive. And he was against the Rockets, and it paid off to the tune of 20 points and leading the Spurs. So, like I said, he's a rookie. He's the 20th overall pick. There's going to be some development involved with those players, and Malaki Branham is no different. Although, it's nice to see that, once the ball starts going in, that maybe helps to spark some confidence. And maybe with this next game, we'll see him take that even further. And now that he's seen it go in, and now that he's got a little confidence and finished as a leading scorer, it just lifts his momentum through the finale of the summer league, and hopefully getting him ready for Spurs training camp when we get that rolling here coming up in October.
Yeah, hopefully Brandon will continue this spike that we saw versus Houston against the Hawks. Again, the Spurs will play likely their last summer league game this Thursday. When we get back, we're going to be discussing.
No rings for them?
No, that's a little. I'll talk about that after the break. When we get back, we're going to talk about those rings that the summer league teams are champions going to get, and also any concerns about Josh Primo. Yeah, the one guy, we'll get into it in just a few seconds. We're back with James Pleasure right here on Locked On Spurs. He is with San Antonio Sports Star. Follow him on Twitter at @IamPleasure. Yeah, those rings, man. I think that's a bit overkill. That's a bit much.
I mean, I thought it was a pretty cool touch. I mean, a lot of these guys are never going to see an NBA roster, so it's nice to have, like, something, right?
I know, but it feels like a participation award, a very pricey
but
participation
it's not.
award.
I mean, these guys are putting in work in the summer, and it's. Do we not still talk about Becky's championship, the year that she won it, and how it helped to springboard her career to where she started getting coaching interviews and legitimate head coaching interviews from other places, and finally leading to this year where she did leave and became the coach and GM of the Las Vegas Aces. It all started, the talk of all of that started after she won the Summer League title. So I do believe there are benefits to it. And plus, a lot of these guys aren't even going to make an NBA roster at any point in their career. So why not at least give them something to remember their time from when they, basically got to kind of play NBA ball for a weekend.
Look at James advocating for the Summer League guys. Look at him pushing for. Hey, at least it's better than the WNBA All-Star trophy. That was pathetic.
Oh, the MVP trophy that our former Silver Star Kelsey Plum took.
What was that? What did everybody say? It was a sippy cup? It looked like a sippy cup.
It looked like something that you got in Pee Wee football when you played.
Okay, they just found it in a closet.
Like the participation trophy.
Yeah, it looked like they found it in a closet. Like, okay, that'll work. Or they went to the kitchen area in the arena. Like, that's perfect. Put it out there. We'll get that fine china. We'll give that out. But let's go to get back to the Summer Spurs. And you're looking at player development. The one player that I think many thought that was just going to just wreck the competition. And that was Josh Primo. Okay, fine. Game one, he's trying to get his teammates involved. And we saw a lot of that. He was really looking for them, really trying to find them, giving up the ball, letting his teammates go. I get that. He wants to be a facilitator. Good, work on that. But he came on and he just tore up that fourth quarter. What was like 11 points in minutes? I mean, it was just that. Okay, so fine. You give him game one. But then game two came around and the shot wasn't falling. The turnover bug was there again. We saw this in Austin. We saw this in San Antonio. But we got to remember he is a 19-year-old kid. Did not play against Houston, NBA health and safety protocols. But I think it's a little bit too soon for Spurs fans to be like, oh, my God, Josh Primo, what's wrong with you? It's just two games.
You mentioned that he's in health and safety protocols now and didn't play against Houston. Could that possibly be a reason why he struggled in his previous game? Was he a little bit fatigued? Was he not suffering from anything other than just a little bit of sluggishness maybe at first, and then it overwhelmed him the next day and he popped positive and ends up going in health and safety protocols after that? I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, right?
No, not at all. And he'll likely, I mean, barring anything else, I mean, you think the Spurs will sit him out against Atlanta.
Oh, he's not playing again.
Yeah, he's not going to play. But
I'm not. Bojan can't get on the court.
Yeah. I'm not jumping the gun here. that Primo's going to have an off season. I'm not. I think it's a 2-game, maybe a game and a half sample size, because again, we was really facilitating, trying his hardest in game 1.
We got about as much Primo this year in the Las Vegas Summer League as we did last year in the Las Vegas Summer League when they shut him down after like the first quarter or a game and a half.
I was there for that Vegas Summer League, and I was hyped about Primo. And then I'm like, I think I might have texted you or somebody. I was like, well, this was a buzz for me to come out here.
You were talking to me because you were so excited to be out there, and they immediately shut him down. And you're like, what do I do now?
Well,
I was like, get to the casino, Jeff.
Jeff, you're in Vegas. What's wrong? I think I was at the MGM, and I texted you a picture of the Spurs odds. They had just came out. And I was like, do I place money? You're like, put money on the over-under. Or like, said put it on the under, I think.
Put it on the under, and I was wrong.
Yeah. But nevertheless, I'm, again, Primo, way too soon. Knee-jerk reactions, left and right from the Spurs fan base. Again, way too early. Let's see how he does in preseason. Let's see how he does in training camp. He should really push for that starting point guard gig. If not, and as James mentioned, it's probably Trey Jones. But hey, if we're going to look at that first game where he was kind of on his game, quote unquote, I mean, if he's looking to become more facilitator in this coming season, great. I love that. I think that'll help his game tremendously. And is he the new modern day Vinny Microwave Johnson? Because my goodness, he can cook instantly, can he?
He can. And I don't know if I want him to be a facilitator as I just want him to initiate the offense, like get it going. I don't want the ball to stick, and if it comes back to you, fire it off. Like if you've got the shot, good to better to best, whatever it is that the Spurs philosophy and they want to go by, I'm with it. But the ball did stick a lot with DeJounte Murray, and he's a great player and it deserved to stick because sometimes the best shot was in his hand. But the game that we all think of when we think about the Spurs is 2014 and the beautiful game and good to better and better to best. And we haven't seen that in a while. Maybe that's what Primo was working on in that first game. And then when it was time, he just started cooking.
Yeah. Hopefully good things ahead for Josh Primo in the preseason and training camp. He gets better from that COVID protocols. It's a shame we didn't get to see Sohan. I was looking forward to seeing that, but Spurs are going to Spurs when it comes to their health and safety. But we're not done talking because, my goodness, the Spurs. I think it was the worst kept jersey secret of all time. Because right when the season was over, already like these jersey watch websites put it out there that the Spurs are going to bring back their old ABA throwback coming into the NBA jerseys with the black on black, San Antonio across the chest. And the Spurs finally announced it yesterday. They pretty much gave it away on Sunday with the picture of George Gervin in those old throwback. I am happy, James. I always felt these were the jerseys that should have made a comeback and not a new Fiesta jersey, because remember, kids, the Spurs never had a Fiesta jersey back in the day. They had Fiesta warm-ups. They never had Fiesta jerseys. I always felt that should have been the first throwback, quote unquote, jersey the Spurs have. I love them, James. What did you think about them?
I mean, technically, you're right. It should have been the first throwback, but I'm not mad that the Fiestas were, because both 2021 and 2022's versions of the Fiestas were insanely beautiful. I love the black with
first
the
one was good.
Stripes underneath. And I
one.
really, really like this year's, and I'm going to get those shorts. Like, no doubt about it, I am getting those shorts. I love those shorts so much. But this year, that's just a clean look. The black on black, the gray diamond shorts, like it is a classic look. It looks really good. And it's going to look very similar to what they wore back in the 70s. if Keldon Johnson's shorts from last year are any kind of indicator of the look that he's going to be pulling off.
I love the fact that the Spurs got Iceman to do it. It made sense. It should be him, and it was him to introduce it. He had fun with the media on hand, saying after he looked at who was there, he goes, "I bet you none of y'all saw me play." I got a kick out of that. I'm there, kind of like, I did. I saw you play in Hemisphere, but again, a nice way to honor the Spurs' roots, because next season is going to be the 50th anniversary that the Spurs are in San Antonio. And part of that celebration is these old OG uniforms coming back. Some of the Spurs fans were already griping about it, though. Oh, the overwhelming response is they love it. I mean, I would say 90% of the fans loved it. But fans are saying that the new self tag takes away from it.
People are going to complain about everything. You understand that the sponsor tag is just part of the uniform now. It has to be there. They paid for that. That is just like
we're seeing them right now
every
in the
year.
Summer League.
You have to buy a new Manchester United jersey because they changed the logo on the front of the jersey. That's just the way of the world now. I absolutely love the way that it looks. It's very clean. And the other thing that I really, really love about it is the fact that the Nike, like their other jerseys just have the Nike swoosh. It's just the swoosh on the jersey and pant. But because this is a retro jersey, it has got the retro Nike check with Nike written above the check.
Nice.
In the big bold block letters. And it is so cool. And it is a minute detail, but it is a very cool minute detail to me.
Another thing I like about the jerseys is that it helps Spurs fans, remember back in the day, those were the jerseys. And this is how old I am, James. You might remember this too, because I know you're close to my age as well. I remember back in the day, people would gripe about the San Antonio, that it was just too wordy or too much letters on the front.
It's a lot on the front.
Yeah, it's a lot on the front. I remember back in the day. But now Spurs fans are loving it. Another Spurs fan pointed out to me that the lettering is too close to the numbers, because if you look at the late 70s, early 80s, when they brought them in, the lettering was a little further away from the numbering. These have the San Antonio words right on smack on top of the numbering. So again, Spurs fans are just griping about any little thing, but overall, I love them. I like them. They're awesome. I wonder if down the road we'll get the white OG ABA jersey. Remember that one? It had the number was off to the side.
Oh yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, did it have the word San Antonio on it? Did it?
If I remember correctly, yes. And one of my favorite things, I saw a comment today in which they were talking about these jerseys, and everybody was talking about the fast breaking Fiestas back in the day, and the reason that a bunch of older Spurs fans didn't like them because they associate that with misery and falling short in the playoffs and stuff like that. And a fan pointed out the last time the Spurs wore these black on black jerseys that they're going to be repping, they went 21-61.
Yikes! On that note. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, it's tank season, apparently. We'll definitely find out. Hey, we're done talking. We want to hear from you. What do you think about your summer Spurs? Record aside, is there anybody else on that roster that's opening your eyes?
Before we go, I just want to make sure that we get, because our friend over at the San Antonio Sports Star, Michael Jimenez, had a bless your heart moment.
Uh-oh.
Where did he or did he not try to confirm with you earlier today that they were actually going to wear these jerseys?
Yes.
For holding a press conference.
I was confused about that text. I didn't know if that maybe he just maybe mistyped or something. I just answered it point blank for what it was. And I didn't want to call him out on text. I was just like, okay, well, maybe he just didn't word
Don't worry,
it right.
we called him out on air.
Oh, you did? Well, how did he take it? What did he say?
He was like, I wanted to make sure it was good. I was like, in the press release they sent us, it says they will be wearing during certain select home and road games.
I think maybe he thought that it was like every single game. I think maybe that's what I understood from the text, and I did.
No, he meant just wearing them at all, and I just wanted to be like, Mike, have they ever held a press conference for something that they were never going to wear?
Hold on, let me pull up the text right now. Okay, so so he texted me yesterday. Are the Spurs going to wear the ABA jerseys this season? So I looked at that text for a while. I said, well, maybe he just worded it wrong. So I said, yeah, but for just select games. And then he liked my comment.
Oh, he was so proud. He was like, yeah, I got confirmation of it.
Look, Mike, look, I know you're listening right now, Mike. I'm flattered you came to me. I appreciate that. But I didn't call you out, though. I didn't say anything on social media.
It was totally me. But that was all James. Too was he did throw you under the bus a little bit because he said, from my source, to which Joe asked him on the air, well, who's your source? And he immediately says Jeff Garcia of Spurs Zone and Kids Spot.
Okay.
I was like, you don't divulge your sources?
Oh, my. Okay, he's got to come on Locked On Spurs soon now. You know what? He was supposed to come on for this episode. But he had to pass because he just got family stuff he had to take care of.
He had to big time you?
Yeah, well, I'm close to calling him out for big timing. That I'll call him out for. But he now again, and then he says it. It's like let's just say there's other sources that James, that I know, and that if we just keep between ourselves, I never say anything like, oh, it came from so and so or this person. But,
no matter who I've heard something from,
and he worked in TV before.
Sources, but I will never divulge my source.
And he said it on air too.
It is a confirmed fact that yes, this is a thing.
And he said it on air, or was just like behind closed doors?
He did, but this was after the press release had already come out, so you were fine.
Well, hello everybody. It's me now. So anyway. Way to go, Jimenez. He's going to love this last ending part of Locked On Spurs, but I can't believe you. Oh, Jimenez. All right, we got to get him on. We got to get him on here. We got to put him on the fire now. Look, the Spurs don't play for a couple days, so it'll be great to have him on soon. But yes,
I figured you'd really enjoy this and you could turn this into something later.
Yes, and I definitely am. Thank you, James. Pleasure. My source for this information right now. Yeah, and on that note, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Now make your second listen be Locked On NBA. Get all the NBA news in just 30 minutes every day with Locked On NBA. Locked On NBA is your daily NBA update in just 30 minutes. And speaking of Locked On Spurs, subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast. YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, Ken's 5 Plus app, Ken's 5 YouTube page. Pick a platform. Locked On Spurs is likely there. James, tell us what's going on with the Star.
Oh man, we're coming into that nice, awesome part of summer where all we have is Major League Baseball, and even for about a week we don't get that because of the All-Star break. So it's the really exciting part of sports, but there is a ton to talk about. We got Dallas Cowboys training camp coming up, which we will be at in Oxnard August 1st, bringing you all the latest going on from there. And of course, anything that happens with the Spurs, because there's still so much left with Kevin Durant trade requests. Free agency has been a standstill to this point, and the Spurs still do have $30 million in cap space, 30 plus. So there's always the possibility of things to keep an eye on there. And of course, as you know, we are big into the Marvel world. So
yes,
Thor: Love and Thunder just dropped. We're about to wrap up Miss Marvel, and I have recently started watching The Boys.
Good for you. I'm going to suspect you may come to me or text me or call me and be like, you know what, Jeff, this might be better than the Marvel or DCU out there.
Oh, it's amazing so far.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. By the way,
it starts off just incredible, like the opening scene with A-Train running through his girlfriend, like,
and not giving a about it. Too. Yeah. Another show I highly recommend if you have the app on Paramount Plus is Star Trek Strange New Worlds. That show is amazing. High stakes. It gives you the backstory of Captain Pike. It is just awesome. And yes, you get to see Captain Kirk's lineage, his brother. It's a great. It just finished. All the episodes are out already. Highly recommended. And it ends on a great cliffhanger. You're gonna be hooked. I promise you. And a lot of stuff happening in the nerd world and in the Spurs world. So for James Pledger, my source, I am Jeff Garcia. We're gonna put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.